Welcome to the engine room. Today we're installing a Senville 18,000 BTU single zone mini split. This is the Aura series. It's the 21 plus SEER. This is 1.5 ton unit, R454B. It's the new refrigerant. We're in 2025, mid-year 2025. So got this on Amazon, about $1,500. Comes with everything. The evaporator, condenser, 16-foot line set, and 16-foot wiring. I got the wall mount for the condenser as well. I got the chase for the lines for outside. I got the extended drain tube that's going to go outside, and just a 30 amp disconnect for outside. So this thing's 208, 220 volt. Gets powered from the condenser, which is great. It's only one power run, one home run to the box, and we'll get moving on this. So shouldn't be too complicated. Basically, just I'm gonna unbox it now, and we're gonna mock it out. We're gonna see where it fits. So it's probably gonna go up here. I'm thinking above these conduits. So up top, through the wall, and then run the run the refrigerant lines down and over to wherever the condenser ends up. But we're gonna start with the evaporator. So we'll get this thing unboxed. That's pretty cool. Comes with a template. Nothing in there, just cardboard. Remote. It's pretty. Has the filter on the top, sucks everything down and blows it out. Mounting plate on the backside, line set. I'm gonna try to go straight through the wall with them, and we'll play with this in a little while. May have to space it off so I can run these conduits behind it, and then pop through the wall here and have it sit right there. Something like that. So I just made a center line mark down the center of this template, and then I marked my pipe hole. And basically what I'm doing here, I know I don't have a stud on this seam of the paneling, so I actually line myself up with that seam. So that's my marker for that side. And then I marked my center line here. And I'm actually going to put a 2x4 behind this to space the unit over the top of these conduits. So I figured out my height. I figured out my left to right. So I got my center line here marked on the molding. I know that this is going to be in line with this seam, and then this is actually a good height right off of here. So my 2x4 spacer that's going to go underneath this bracket is going to sit exactly 2 inches off the top of this molding. So I'm going to put that up now, and then I can actually put the bracket up, and then I'll figure out the spacing for the top, because there's a different thickness up here. I have some 5/4, so I might just make a spacer and screw it to the wall. So now I have a stud there. I know I have one there. So I have my center line mark there, already on this piece of wood. It's 27 inches long, so I got 13 and a half, 13 and a half. I'm gonna mark where I'm gonna start my screws. There and there. There. And my center line while I'm at it. And my... Good. So I'll start those screws, get that up, level it. I'm going to be 2 inches off this molding on the center line. Send those screws in, and then the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory, but this will hold the weight of it for the most part. Cool. This level. And then this mounting plate is going to end up coming flush to the bottom of this. And we'll just make sure that it's level and center. Good. All right, bottom's in. I could probably hang this on this, but I'm gonna put some screws up top too. I'm gonna figure out what thickness I need for behind the top. That way, when I suck this in, it doesn't bend it or warp it. It keeps it straight. So I'm just gonna lay my level on the 2x4, my existing spacer. And I go until I get level. It's like 7/8, 3/4. Let's see what I got. That's about the same thickness. It's almost an inch. This is a piece of 1x2 trim that I had laying around. It actually fits perfect as a spacer. So I'm gonna just go slightly wider, mark it, go cut it, bring it in, screw it in, and then that mount will be up. And my 1x2 cut size. And I'm going to try to line up, I got long screws, I'm going to try to line them up same spot as the bottom. So hopefully I hit the stud. And this one is pretty much right there. Let's see if we can hit that stud. Hopefully there's a stud there. Oh yeah, nice. All right, and it seems like we got a hole there too. So let's see, put this one on in on an angle. Oh yeah, very nice. Good. Just gonna loosen those because I don't want it to bend. There we go. Nice. Cool. All right, that's our unit. We're level, we're mounted. I think we're good. We're not going anywhere. So I just shot a line from, I already know that my hole is going to be on that seam. That's my x-axis, so I'm going to get my y-axis. I just shot a line off of here. I leveled the cardboard and the template, and then I just drew a level line from this point over, and it clips right at the bottom of that hole. So I'm right at the bottom of that hole, and I'm just going to carry it across, and that'll be my pilot hole for my hole saw. Across. That's my hole. So this is the wall sleeve that it comes with. So once you drill the hole, you can send the sleeve through, you can cut it to length, which this wall is going to be thicker because it's a double walled house. But either way, that's the flange from the inside. So that's my drill bit. I'm just bigger than that. And then the flange, there's plenty of room. So that's going to be perfect. This is a 2.5 inch. 2 9/16 because this is from a plumber's hole saw kit. So I'm going to do that next. So this house is actually built with a double wall. So there's an interior wall and then there's an exterior wall about 6 inches out. So we got a little bit of a extension here. I'm going to drill a pilot from the inside center, generally center, and then I'll run the hole saw from the outside and get a good clean hole coming in. So I'll line this up. I'm through. My drill bit's in there, but I'm going to use it as a placeholder. Oh, I actually went all the way through good. So that'll be my placeholder, and then I'll drill it from the outside in through the vinyl siding. And then I'm going to have a good clean hole all the way through. So I got my backer board mounted and my hole. So that goes to outside, and now I can get this thing going. I'm going to hook up the wire, snake it through. It's just a matter of snaking through the refrigerant lines and the drain. And then this can get mounted permanently. So now I'm going to prep it to get permanently installed on the wall. Drain is already set up on this side. I gently bent the refrigerant lines out so that way they're straight. I just need to add the electrical harness. I'm going to tape everything up and then put this whole thing up on the wall with everything going through the hole, and then the interior will be complete. So first thing is to grab either side of this, open the face. It's got a little arm that keeps it held up, and then it locks here. This is where all the electronics are. There's a screw here and a screw here. Both Phillips, those come out. And then this whole base part comes off gently. Once that's off, there's a tab here that holds this electrical panel closed. So once that's off, you can pop this up, open that, and then you have access to the electrical connections. This is the breakout or the knockout for the electrical wire that feeds this. So I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to bring the wire in, clamp it. I'm probably not going to land them yet. This gets removed. This is a whip for test. It actually has a label on it. So I'm just going to remove that, add our electrical wire, give myself enough slack for the future if I ever need to make any adjustments. It's always good to have a little bit. And then I'm going to tape up everything that's going to go through the hole. That way it's all together, and in the wall it'll stay as one and protected. And then this will be ready to go up on the wall. So I'm going to do that now. So this is the wire that comes with the 16-foot line set. It's got spade connectors on the one end and a ring terminal for the ground, and then on the other end it has these little crimps. So these are all terminals. So I'm going to put the spades on this side, and then I have extra spades if I need to cut these off and change it in the for the condenser. I'm probably going to have to cut this wire too. So I'll come through with this, get everything clamped and landed, taped up, and then lay this out, get it pulled through the hole. This gets removed and no longer used. My wire run. Bring that through there. Nope, this one. Phillips head for that. Okay. So I got this strain relieved. I'm gonna leave a little bit of slack, and then I'm gonna tape this up. So what I'm gonna try to do, I kind of want the drain going on the side when it's in the tube. I don't want it sitting underneath so it can get kinked. I'm gonna put the wire towards the top, and then put the refrigerant lines on the side, and then the drain on the side. So I'm going to tape this in a couple spots just to keep everything together in a nice happy little bundle, and make it that much easier to put in. It comes with a wrap tape too, so I might just do a wrap of this first just to keep everything aligned, or maybe in a couple spots, and then I'll come back to it. Beautiful. All right. Refrigerant lines, control, power, and drain. And this is laying on the side. It'll sit nice and flush. Okay. Got my flange with my tube. I just taped it just so that way I don't lose it. It's all one piece for the most part now. So that'll go in. snake our control wire through. Okay, so this was definitely going to get caught going through that hole. So this is permanently wrapped. This I temporarily wrapped and just put a knot of electrical tape on the end. So it's tapered, nothing's sticking out, nothing's protruding. And I'll mess with it once I get it outside. But let's see how this goes. Put this up on my own. Come on. Through the hole. Come on. Really? Fight me? There we go. Beautiful. Oop, I don't know. That's barely in. That can't be it. No, that's not it. That's it. Cool. Not bad. She's up. Not bad. Gonna paint that up, but it works. Yeah. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna get these wires landed so I can close this up, put the covers on, and then the interior will be complete. So I'm gonna do that now. So I'm gonna stick with my personal logic of black is always primary. So 1 and 2 are line and neutral. Or in this case, line 1, line 2, because it's a 220 unit. So I'm actually gonna just keep it that way. So I'm gonna do black on 1, white on 2, and red is the high voltage signal wire for the condenser. So I'm just gonna do white in the middle, white on 2. And red on 3. Those are nice and tight. I'm also going to check the terminal block above to make sure that those are tight. They're factory connections, but we'll check that. Terminal block for the grounds, I'm going to double check that those are tight. The existing. And then there's a green ground screw for the green ground wire. That just goes right through the ring terminal. On there. And that is our ground. So there's my connections, finalized. Nothing else really gets touched, that's it. And then there's another wire in here for another control sequence, or who knows, but Make sure nothing's pinched, everything's strain relieved. This is tight. So I'm gonna button this up. So this just has its little foot. It's kicked down, goes over the top, clips into place, and then this bottom cover can go on permanently. Something like that. All the way in. What's that? That gets a screw. And then this side is in all the way. Good. Not bad. Good design. Okay, drop that little arm, snap her down, mounted, and finalized. Pretty clean, a little big, but it's white, blends in, don't look too bad. So now the rest of the work is all outside. Okay, haven't connected the line set yet. I've just bent everything down, got this lined up, level. My chase, 2 pieces, 4 foot. I'm gonna elbow it down on the bottom and go across. This is just gonna get the cap, but I'm leaving these out. I'm gonna hook up the line set in a minute. First, I'm gonna do the drain hose. So it's a 20-foot drain, Senville drain hose to match. I'll cut it to length when the time comes, but I'm gonna connect it now so I don't forget. It's easy enough. Just slides right over the top. I'm just going to tape it up with electrical tape, make sure it doesn't come apart. Might knock or cut out the drain, have it come straight down. We'll see. But I'm gonna get this line set connected, figure out my length, get it tucked, start working my way down, and then figure out where this condenser is gonna go. We're gonna get this first portion of the line set connected. So this actually has a nitrogen charge inside. So let's crack it. So I keep these nice and clean. I'm going to use Nylog blue on the threads and on the face of the flares. I didn't cut these. These are factory. And get everything nice and tight, snug, wrapped, and then this can all get put away permanently. There's a little release on here, but not super necessary. Don't want to get it inside the pipe, just on the edge of the flare and on the threads themselves. To keep everything happy. Not completely necessary, but for the couple dollars, it's worth it. Make sure they don't cross thread. And actually I want to put it underneath as well. On the top side, keeps everything lubricated as well. On there. So the underside, the flare actually grabs the underside of that. If anything, it'll help lubricate, help get it tighter. In the book there is a torque spec, but it's copper and brass, so we're gonna torque it to tight. Always hold back. Okay. Do the same with the vapor line. Stupid cap off. Cap on here as well. Okay. Gonna hit the sealing surface. The underside. And the threads. Go. Get started. Okay, nice and tight. I'm going to wrap this in the nylon tape that it came with. But first, I'm going to wrap the brass, like the fittings themselves, just to keep them from vibrating and chafing through the copper. ready for the condenser. Already pulled the bands off it. So the control wire is actually shorter than the line set, so kind of stupid. But I didn't want to have to splice this and then extend it. So I think I'm gonna tuck this guy in under there. And then these should line up pretty well. 10 inches off the wall, so pretty good right there. And then from the mount, I'd say we're about 5 inches. So 5 inches. So I think we're going to be good right there. We're about, for this point, we're about 4.5. So about 4.5. So we'll start this right at the edge of that on this run, and then we should be good to go. And then I can get these to wherever they need to be. Power's on this side, control wiring's on this side. Alright, this thing's bolted up. I'm going to start with the big line and then do the small one next because it's just a little bit easier to bend. So pull this off. Gotta hold back on these valves because otherwise I risk snapping them. They're just bolted to the sheet metal. One. Okay, pull these plugs out. All right, these guys are all tight, ready to go. Got my cap on the low pressure side. It comes with. Got an O-ring in there, don't lose that. These aren't standard 1/4 inch thread, same as regular gauges. So you need an adapter. This is on Amazon it's a 410A split system adapter. This is 454B, but it fits. I checked it before I started this, so. Nice and tight. And I'm just going to pull a vacuum on this while I do the wiring and everything else, just so I'm ahead of the game. So, low pressure. Make sure it's tight on the gauge. Move this guy, hook him up. Make sure all that's tight. Too many fittings, it sucks because you end up with a lot more failure points, but make sure that's tight. And then I'm going to hook this up to my vacuum pump and let this thing run for a while. So blue line's connected, goes up to gauges, yellow goes to the vacuum pump's running, and we're pulling down. So I'm going to let this thing run for probably a couple hours while I'm doing the electrical, just in case any moisture got into the system. It was kind of nice because the evaporator is charged with nitrogen, so that's clear. And then the line set has plugs in the ends, so there could be a little bit of moisture in there. There probably is a little bit. I left the plugs in while I did the rest of the job on the end, so I just pulled the plugs off the one end, connected it to the condenser, or evaporator, ran them over, connected them to the condenser. So let this thing run for a while. The longer the better. So, finished this up last night. Got the condenser mounted. Got everything hooked up, vacuumed, running. Opened up the 2 lines. It got dark, so I turned the camera off, but hooked up communication wire 1, 2, and 3. I got 12 gauge THHN, 220 volt supply, so L1, L2, and ground. Flex tight to a 30 amp disconnect, and then conduit inside to the breaker panel on a 20 amp double pole breaker. So pretty basic, nothing special. Got this thing fired up, and runs great. Runs awesome. I ended up running the vacuum pump for probably, I don't know, probably 2 hours. Then I valved off the vacuum pump, killed it, let it sit for a while just to double check. And then while I was doing the wiring, I hooked it up again and let it run for another, probably about an hour. And pulled all the way down to just above 30. So right where we need to be. Pop the valves open. And this is complete, so very happy with it. It was like 90 degrees outside and humid, and it cooled the space down in probably about 20 minutes from like it was probably in the 80s inside, and now you can hang meat in there, so it's great. But yeah, so finished product. I'll go in and look at the evaporator in a second, but nice and simple. Breaker panel's right inside. Super accessible. Just popped through 3/4 PVC conduit, came right over, dropped it down, and the beauty of this is that you don't need to power the head. It's great. You just hook up 240 to the condenser, and then the comm wire is also the power for the head. So it's one electrical service. Very simple. And then the VRF is great. This thing's so quiet. It only runs when it needs to. I actually was sleeping in that bedroom, and it's great. I was listening to it kick up and down. Not like you can barely hear it, but I can hear the frequency change when it deviates and as it stages. But yeah, so far so good. So I got the drain. I just kind of ran it down the bottom and out. I'm probably going to cut it shorter, and then I want to put some kind of sock on it. Some kind of like mesh sock or like a screen. That way bugs can't climb up inside it. So I'll fiddle with that at some point, but yeah. And that's our evaporator coil, or head unit, or whatever you want to call it. Get the remote, which is great. You got settings for the swing, left and right, for the gate on the front, fan speed, maybe auto. Let's put in auto. Auto. You got this guy opens and closes. Yeah, that's great. Went with the Aura series because we're in rural New York and it gets very cold up here. So this one cools down to negative 22 degrees. The Lido series, which is the step below, only goes down to 0 degrees or negative 5, I think. So this is gonna be good. The rest of this house is electric heat, electric baseboard. So I'm gonna leave the electric baseboard just as a backup. I wired this in. This will be primary heat. So I'll probably set this to, when this place is unoccupied, I'll probably set the electric heat to 50, set this to 55, and then it's just you got a little level of redundancy. This will do most of the heating, if not all of it, in the wintertime, and shave down those electric bills, because this is at negative 22 degrees. It's almost, I think it was 38% more efficient than electric baseboard. So, and that's worst case scenario for this. It's cold outside air temperatures, so that's it, all done. So came with everything, very happy with it. The only gripe I have was the length of the control wire that it comes with. So the control wire comes in the package for the line set, and it's the same length as the line set. But the stubs that come out of the cassette, or out of the head unit, are like 18, 20 inches long. So they go out and go down the facade. And then the wire has to come in and get wired to the control panel on the inside. So you end up losing like 18 inches of it. So like when I got to the end, I was like, oh, I could put the condenser here and just not have to cut the line set. But then the wire wasn't long enough, so I had to kind of double back, and that's why I did what I did out there. I'm very happy with it. It's very clean, but also it's like stupid. Like, give me an extra 2 feet of wire just to like compensate for that, and then at least it could be clean and it doesn't have to be pulled or stretched. The other issue with that was like the actual terminal ends were like, the one end had spades, like blade terminals. The other end had like these weird, they almost look like pins from like a automotive plug. So I guess like there's probably a purpose for that, but it was just foolish. So I ended up cutting those off. I put on really nice spade connectors, just like crimp connector ends, just so that way they're shrink tubed, they're clean, and if I ever got to pull them off or troubleshoot or anything, I'm not fussing with wires because they're stranded. That, and then the terminals for the main power were a little funky too. Like there's a screw with a flat square land, so that way, like in theory, if they were large enough and strong enough, you could just stick the wire underneath the one side and tighten it down. But they're a little small for 12 gauge wire, which you need for this because it's a 20 amp service, and a little like, just, I don't know, a little flimsy. So I ended up actually stripping them long, making a true ring on each one, like bending the actual wire itself, and it came out really clean. It's just like there's certain little things that could have been done slightly better just to make it easier, but I mean, it's a Chinese unit, and I mean, I guess you get what you pay for, and it's pretty good for for the price and the efficiency ratings and everything else. So we'll see how it goes in the long run. But I mean, if I was doing some crazy long run with, you know, a long line set, and this was a high concern area, like I'd probably go, or, you know, if it was harder to install for the application itself, I probably would have went with something higher end. But like here, if I get 5 years out of this and something fails on it, like I'll throw it away and get another one. It's easy enough. I already have the hole. It's already set up, ready to go. Service is there. So For the price, you really can't beat it, as long as it's accessible and serviceable. And that's it. So, on to the next project.